there's boom and bust. That's just the way it rolls. Any clown can make money in a boom. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. That was 2020-ish, 2021, and most of 2022. As we hit the end of 22 and moved into 2023, we've definitely seen a shift. There's a correction happening. And so right now, if you are acting in the average sector, this is where you're going to get left behind. How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business. Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. My name's Max. I'm your host. I'm the CEO at Smith & Sons here in Canada. Welcome to you if you're in YouTube land. Great to have you in the house. Look, as usual, like and subscribe, leave comments, all that sort of stuff. If you're on YouTube there, feel free to leave me some love on your preferred podcast platform. Really appreciate that, just to let me know that we're going in the right direction. And certainly if there's any feedback that you want to give me, good and bad, I'm cool with that. But certainly, and certainly if you want to directly or get in contact with me directly, my email's max@businessforbuilders.ca. Beauty, don't forget the Business for Builders VIP Facebook page or Facebook group. If you're a good sort, get over there, hit the join button, I'll let you in. Some good stuff there, community collaboration and a bit of camaraderie, and I encourage everybody to sort of start reaching out, because we sort of tend to make ourselves a bit of an island in this business, and it's not cool, it's not productive, and it's just better when we do come together, because there's so much opportunity in the marketplace. There's no need for trying to be an independent sort of operator. I think we can learn so much. I used to say, I think John Maxwell said it, that no one of us can be as smart as all of us. And so take advantage of that and really, shoot some questions out there. And I'm going to start getting involved and really helping out where I can. So today, as usual, steak and potatoes. We want to deliver stuff that you can grab hold of and implement straight away. And today I'm going to talk about the 4 levels of action. Now, I can't say that I'm the originator of this information. I stole this from Grant Cardone, and I liked it because, love him or hate him, and there's a lot of people that love him and there's a lot of people that don't love him. But, he's very much a results-oriented type individual, and I like that about him. He's a bit of a hard and heavy hitter, but certainly has definitely done well, and so there's got to be an element of truth to some of the things, or a lot of the things that he's saying. So, I did catch this concept, and I thought I'll do my own research and come up with an interpretation for our general contractor, builder, contractor community. So here we go. 4 levels of action. In context, sort of in the context of achieving success in business as a general contractor, we're going to talk about the 4 levels of action and how they can impact business growth. So I'm going to quickly give you a bit of an overview of those points. The first one is retreating. The second one is procrastinating. The third one is being average. And the fourth one is taking massive action. And so we're going to just quickly dive into some of these. And I guess you will know as an independent operator whereabouts that you sit. And look, I think this it may have some, be impacted by what I would call your appetite, your level, your appetite for risk, or, really what you like to live with as far as, activity in your life. I hear Gary Vaynerchuk talking about all the time how that he's got millionaire buddies who just aren't freaking happy with their life. And he's got other friends that make $50,000 a year and he coaches for the kids' soccer team and play baseball on weekends and are happy as pig in shit. So, look, I really do want to focus. I think what we get caught up in too much is making the money and hitting that millionaire status and, trying to be something that we are not. And, of course, that comes down to a lot of people putting, I'm an entrepreneur. And like Gary says, if you want to be a successful basketball player, you've got to show it before you put it in your bio. However, when you put entrepreneur in your bio, nobody can argue with that. So, it's keen that we have, goals to achieve stuff in life. But I think sometimes we're trying to, talk about the money that we don't have and spending it on shit that we don't need to impress people that don't give a rat's ass about us. So I think it's important that we have a high level of self-awareness. And so, but I think despite all of that, these 4 points are really going to help you understand and categorize where your mindset is at. And if you hang around me long enough, you hear me talk about mindset, and then management, and then marketing, and then mentoring, and then mastery. They're our 5 M's. And so, we're always trying to figure out with humans where they're up to. And some people get there fast, some people get there slow, some people go to the top of the mountain, some people are just happy to be at base camp. So, it's all, we've got such a massive cross-section of individuals in the audience. It's really hard to nail down, but you need to take out of this what you can. Really, what level of action that you take is kind of determined by what you want. But Les Brown says, you don't get out of life what you want, you get out of life who you are. And that really does encapsulate, because if you're a high risk taker, then taking massive action is something that you're going to find a little more natural than someone that's a little bit more tentative and who hasn't got a high appetite for risk. So, in the context, of achieving business growth, we really want to understand these 4 things and just be aware, because it's easy to say, let's take massive action, but I'm telling you, that is not easy. And so, in some cases, it's easier to stay average. So we're going to quickly explore each of these 4 points, or these 4 levels of action. And then, at least I can bring this to your awareness. You don't need to go out and do something instantaneously, or you don't need to change and turn around on a dime. But this way, you'll at least get some identification as to, are you in retreat mode? Are you a procrastinator? Are you kind of just pretending to put up with the status quo and the average? Or are you somebody that says, look, I would be ready to take massive action because I'm tired of status quo and average. I really want to bring about change. And so to bring about massive change, you've got to take massive action. So I'm going to get onto that. All right, let's talk about it. Retreating refers, this is point number 1. Retreating refers to a mindset or action of withdrawing or avoiding challenges, risks, or responsibilities. In the business world, retreating can hinder growth, as it often involves missed opportunities, limited innovation, and reduced competitiveness, and it can lead to stagnation or even decline in business performance. Now, I want to make it clear that a strategic pivot is okay. Okay, I've had a few guys in my group where I've had to, based on looking at the financial performance of the business, I've had to make, obviously I've made observations, and then I've put together reports, and then I've made recommendations. And so, a pivot is something that we all have to consider at some stage of business, because we do go through subtle hills and valleys where sometimes life is good, business is awesome, and then you hit some dips where business is not awesome. So, I think, and I see that a lot here, because the seasons are actually so pronounced, whereas in Australia, where I came from, we didn't see as much of that. Although right now we're living with, inflation, we're living with interest rates, bumping up all the time. So, it has had a massive impact on our inquiry levels and things like that. So, at this point is where potentially, if you're in a marketplace today that is softening, or is in a state where it's really purging, or it's starting to correct, then what you'll find is, we went through the COVID period, and we all thought, particularly, it did affect, it was devastating on some industries, but for us in the remodeling industry and renovation sector, it really did get the phones ringing, because people couldn't go anywhere, but we were able to, as frontline workers, I don't know if that's the right term, but we were necessary, or we were able to trade throughout most of COVID with the right precautions. It really did get our phones ringing. There was a lot of people that weren't traveling and things like that just said, well, we'll just renovate the kitchen while we're waiting. So, that was I think there's nothing wrong with a strategic pivot when both businesses is good and bad. But you've just got to be mindful that it's not an elongated retreat. It's not like, okay, we're going to turn around and we're going to back out of this, because that's going to lead to stagnation and a decline in your business performance. And we're about building high performance businesses, aren't we, folks? All right, I'll be quick here. Procrastinating. That's level of action number 2. Procrastination refers to delaying or postponing tasks or decisions that need to be addressed. While occasional delays might be inevitable, Frequent or chronic procrastination can have negative consequences for business growth. Procrastination or procrastinating can result in missed deadlines, decreased productivity, compromised quality, and strained client relationships. It hinders progress and can lead to missed opportunities. Folks, there is nothing good that comes of procrastinating. Not to mention the fact that it really does. You think about it, because when you do it, you go, I should do that. And it's just this point in time where you won't make a move. And so it's I think I might have said this a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not sure who come up with it, but you can't steal second base with your foot on first base. And so procrastination is like, oh no, I'll do that tomorrow. Oh no, I'll go and set that business up next year, or I'll go and get coaching another time or whatever. And so this procrastination is exactly, to me, it's the most retreating. It kind of, it is what it is. You're happy to go in that direction. The problem, what I see with procrastination, is that you are wanting to see success in your business, but then what you want and what you do, they don't map to the same target. So you're talking about, yes, I want to see business success and I want to expand my business and grow the business and all that sort of stuff. But what you're doing is you're constantly and consistently putting off doing the things that you need to do. Now that could be sitting at home and watching Netflix instead of educating yourself. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours of watching and listening to Gary Vaynerchuk around content marketing and branding and all that sort of thing. And it just flat blows my mind, because it's almost like I've done some sort of, course to understand, because that's really all he talks about. So he goes deep into that. And so, for you might have to, you might want to build a business. We all do. We want to make more money. Well, if you haven't got a systemized approach to building a business and you don't have the understanding and the education, and I'm not saying go and sit in a classroom, do what the rest of us might have to do, and go and just figure it out on the fly and get educated. So I was in the office here till about 7 or 7:30, and I was just reading a book. And it's because that's what I do. If I leave the office and go home, I'm automatically in relax mode. And so what I do is, at the end of a day, I put everything aside, I close down my computer, and I sit there with a red pen and I read a book. And that's how I get to some of the stuff. I've also got some videos going on during the day as it relates to education around my own development as a leader and as a coach. And then I've got other things going on where I've got industries talking to me and sending me links to videos and things like that really are very specific and very niche around maybe how we produce video and things like that. So if you procrastinate, you actually don't realize that, if you take a little bit of action and do the right things, even if they're small, every day and consistently enough, what you'll find is that you will achieve a result by the end of the year. What we suffer from is we underestimate, or we overestimate what we can achieve in 12 months. We underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. And we've got to be really understanding on our thinking process. And so this is why the first of the 5 M's is mindset, because we kid ourselves, and then we hit Christmas and we're like, geez, where did that year go? What happened? And I'll tell you what happened is nothing happened, because procrastination really got the better of you. So that's point number 2. Okay, point number 3, which may be more insidious than point number 2, I'm not sure, but you can make the decision. Average. Being average implies adopting a status quo approach where the focus is primarily on meeting minimum requirements, standards, or maintaining a satisfactory level of performance. While being average may not necessarily harm a business, it can limit growth potential. But not actively seeking improvement, innovation, or differentiation, a business might fail to stand out in a competitive market and may struggle to attract new clients or expand its reach. So that straight away, I'm thinking about, average is on your, now here we go. I've had guys have a crack at me about this, but I'll say it again. On your Instagram bio, it's like, we do quality work and provide quality service. And it's like, so does everybody else. And we can't use that as a clip because I've already said it that way before. So I'm getting nods behind the camera. But, we have to understand, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the marketplace to really ascertain as to whether our performance is fairly lackluster, whether it's average, whether it's high performance. And I think it takes so much energy to be high performance. I mean, if we talk about a drag racing context, I could take my pickup truck down the local drag racing precinct down here and burn some rubber and do a 16-second quarter mile. Now, the difference, that's average, right? It's really average. But if you want to do a quarter mile in quicker time, then what you've got to do is more cubic inches, you've got to have a bigger intake, you've got to be able to supply more fuel, and then you go the other end of the scale where you've got these top fuelers running in high 3 seconds now, which is just ridiculous. And so it comes down to analyzing, standing back, and this is why, everybody needs a coach. And so you think you might be doing okay, but when someone comes in from a third party and does an objective analysis or assessment of your business, there might be some fairly massive things that need to be addressed, and you might have to make some massive changes. And you'll be sitting there wondering, well, I don't know why things aren't working, but we are just being average. And so, what's insidious is that, a business might fail to stand out in a competitive market. Now, I'm telling you right now, what are we, June of 2023, and I'm telling you right now that the wonderful experience that we had throughout COVID, like I've just alluded to, is not carrying on right now. They are cooling the market by increasing interest rates. So things are just softening. I'm not saying that it's the end of the world. I'm not making all those predictions. What I'm saying is the market, it fluctuates. So there's boom and bust. That's just the way it rolls. Any clown can make money in a boom. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. That was 2020-ish, 2021, and most of 2022. As we hit the end of 22 and moved into 2023, we've definitely seen a shift. There's a correction happening. And so right now, if you are acting in the average sector, this is where you're going to get left behind, because there's guys like me, and I'm not the only one, but there's guys like me that are very aware how market fluctuations have an impact on the way that we do business and what we do and the outcomes and the metrics and how our P&L looks. And we start working on that today, looking at a 90-day projection and going, all right, what are we doing today that's going to ensure that we hit our targets in 90 days? And so if you're just being average and you got this laissez-faire kind of she'll be right, mate attitude, what will happen is when you realize that average is not cutting it, it's too late. And that's the deal. So I think more than ever, what you would need to do, in that position, if you're in an average position and you've done a self-assessment, and that's really hard to do, just by the way, then you're going to realize that something's got to change. And so here's where we come into, all right, Max, well, like I'm tired of, retreating doesn't work for me. I'm really tired of procrastinating, and I'm really not wanting to be average, but it looks like I'm being a bit average. Now you need another set of eyes, and you need a buddy. You need a running partner. There's no question. Now, I don't know whether that's a business partner for you, whether it's a coach or whatever, but you need somebody that's going to help you get over that, I don't want to do it today. I never go to the gym by myself. I quit going to the gym probably just prior to COVID. Or because of COVID, and I'd never get like, hey, let's go. I will go to the gym so I don't let Ronnie down. That's literally why he's like, hey, Max, we're going. I'm like, yeah, we're going. But if nobody texts me that day, I would not go. And so this is me being average as it relates to, what I do in the gym and what I do. I don't do enough of that. So I'm being very average as it relates to my health and well-being. So let's really do an honest assessment of where we're up to and who we are and what we're achieving, and really figure out where we fit in. Now, if you're in the next category and you're already taking massive action, kudos to you, hats off to you for being an absolute killer. All I would say is that, when we cover off this taking massive action, you've got to be careful that you're not just a flash in the pan. You've got to be able to take massive action and be sustainable over a long period of time. Because if you take massive action for 30 days and then you fall back into average, there's just no gain. And so you've got to understand the rules of engagement. So massive action, taking massive action involves going above and beyond the norm, pushing boundaries and aiming for extraordinary results. This level of action often involves ambitious goals, relentless effort, continuous learning and innovation. I'll read that again. Ambitious goals, relentless effort, continuous learning, and innovation. So this is all stuff that is, in my mind, is massive action is never taking your foot off the gas. There is no coast mode. There is no average kind of like, we're just going to cruise. Now, I am all about reaping, or enjoying the benefits, the fruit of your labor, so to speak. But I think you've got to understand, are you in the expansion or the consolidation phase? I think you've just got to be careful that you don't sort of get too high on your own supply and hit cruise mode in advance. So, that's super important. Continuous learning and innovation. By embracing a massive action mindset, a general contractor or builder can achieve significant growth and success. This might include pursuing larger projects, expanding into new markets, investing in technology or team development, and building strong networks and partnerships. Massive action can lead to increased visibility, reputation, and profitability. And so we don't just do it for more experience. We are doing it to create bank. We've got to make sure that we've got all of our systems in play and that all of our team is set up. But it takes such effort to build a significant sized organization, but it can be a lot more difficult if you don't have a very organized and strategic approach. And so for me, that would be synonymous with, let's say I wanted to go and climb not Mount Everest. What's the big mountain that I've been watching on Mount Everest? Yeah, that's the big dog. Right. So, never mind my geography. But if I wanted to go and climb Mount Everest, I don't just go and get on a plane and go to Kathmandu and just waltz up to base camp and go, I'm going to climb the mountain. There is a lot of planning and preparation. There is a lot of research that goes into it. There's a lot of connecting with the right people. And of course, you've got, the people that would walk with you up the mountain. And I think it's important that you understand that when you listen to what I'm saying here and you're saying, okay, I understand, I'm never going to retreat, no surrender, pivots are okay, I'm not about procrastinating, I don't want to be average, I want to take massive action. And then all you do is you're like an 18-year-old in a 1,000 horsepower friggin' racing car. It's like you're going to stick it in the weeds. And so here's where I need to couple in this talk with massive action, because everyone's like, yeah, hoo-ha, I've got ambitious goals. I'm going to apply relentless effort. I'm going to continuously learn. I'm going to innovate all the time. What happens is you'll then could borderline suffer from burnout because you could be just spinning the wheels, or you could apply all of that resource in what you think is the best thing for you, and then all of a sudden you realize that you've spent all that resource and you've not covered any ground because you didn't seek out proper counsel. Like it's really difficult. So it's easier for me to climb Mount Everest if I would go and pay the 50 or 60 or 70,000, whatever it is, to actually get somebody to maximize my chances of success. This is the math. So I could pay somebody $50,000. I don't know what it is. That's probably US as well. $50,000 US to get me to the top of Mount Everest. And then it's not even guaranteed, right? Or I could spend maybe 10 grand and everyone would say my odds of success if I did it on my own were limited at best. Like, I would rather have that picture on the wall of me standing at the top of the world and have invested 5 or 6 times in my own success than me trying to penny pinch. And so, I think sometimes, to get the right kind of guidance or counseling or coaching, yes, it costs money. However, I think it's a worthwhile investment in your future. And so, it's very difficult. You can't lead somebody somewhere you haven't been. And so even for me, I've got business partners, I've got associates, I've got people that are up the mountain further than I do that I call on to help me in my journey forward, because we all know speed of the leader determines the speed of the pack. So there's a few little caveats to taking massive action. I think as a primary, it's like, yes, I would strongly advise that you take massive action. And however, I would just make sure that you don't just go and drop a 700 horsepower, injected V8 into a little B series, because, things might break, and get out of control and get out of shape. But anyway, so that's a bit of an in-house joke. Okay, so I need you to harness the power of intent. You can't be half pregnant. And so this is why when, taking massive action is going to be a challenge, because it's going to demand from you relentless, continuous effort, continuous learning. The more you learn, the more you earn, and you've got to be fairly innovative. And what you're doing is you're trailblazing in your own business and in your own life now. So there's going to be a lot of things that you are going to need to be a pioneer in. And so that comes with its own challenges, because being a pioneer is where you'll spend a lot of time doing the whole 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But if you can have someone who's walked the path before you, that makes things a lot easier. I know, just side notes, we had a race meet a couple of weeks ago where midway through one of our races, and we're racing on slick tires, it just pissed down with rain. And for me, it was, I like to race up the front, and I sort of spend a bit of time up there. But when it started to piss down with rain, that's when you really understand the concept of pioneer, because everyone is banking up behind you and they're all pushing you. But when you're out in front, you don't know which parts of that track have got grip and which don't have grip. And we race in a parking lot here in Vernon, and those track conditions change because there's new asphalt, old asphalt. There's actually, there's pedestrian crossings with big white markers. There's arrows. And when you've got slick tires, that, okay, the track stays warm for a little bit, but it was torrential. And when you're a pioneer out front, the chances of sticking it into the tires is at the highest level. So that really was one of those moments where I even watch a lot of motorsport, and they talk about the front runner being the pioneer, and I found myself in the hot seat. And it was terrible. That new asphalt, that thing would just get up sideways, and it was deadly. So, and they actually called the race off, which means I got a checkered flag, so I didn't have to work as hard for the win. So, that's all about taking massive action. You are a pioneer. Okay, so let's shut it down. In summary, while retreating and procrastinating can impede performance or business growth, adopting an average approach may limit potential. Embracing a mindset of massive action, however, can unlock opportunities and drive significant success for general contractors or builders, enabling them to stand out in the industry and achieve remarkable outcomes. Guys and girls, I would strongly advise you to think about what you think about, making sure that your self-talk is positive. Your subconscious can't discern between what is reality and what is fiction. And so you need to, that your negative self-talk will have a negative impact on you, but your positive self-talk, your optimism, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about positivity and optimism need to get louder. I believe in that 100%, because what you believe or what you think about determines how you feel determines your actions and activities, and your action and activities will create routines and outcomes in your life. And so I would strongly encourage you to have positive thoughts. All right, so like and subscribe, leave your comments below, ding. And be sure to email me, max@businessforbuilders.ca. Go across to Facebook, Business for Builders VIP Facebook group. Hit the join button if you're a good sort. I'll let you in. And I'll see you on the next episode of Business for Builders podcast. Go build a kick-ass business. Cheers.